Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 350. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Tiffany Cartwright, the founder of Amara Naturals and Glam Body Scrubs. Now, Tiffany has an amazing entrepreneurial journey where she lost her job, her car, and her home, and now is rebounded to build a multi-million-dollar business, which she has products in Walmart and many of the larger big box retailers. But before we get to Tiffany's story, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's show, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and my resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, two platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black economy, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. And also my new rebranded, rebooted Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy, the BEBacademy.com. Now, let's get ready for today's interview with Miss Tiffany Cartwright. We are live with Miss Tiffany Cartwright, the founder of Glam Body Scrubs and Amara Products. Tiffany, how are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for taking your time out to share with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. We've been having a little problem connecting in. We finally got you on, and I know the family will be very intrigued about your journey and about what you're doing right now. And so you got a lot of new developments that just came out.
Yes.
Literally
yes.
today. So please give us a little bit of background about who you are, where you're from, and then we're going to jump into your entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So once again, thank you for having me on. I'm Tiffany Cartwright, and my company is called Amara Products, and we are a certified woman-owned, certified minority-owned company specializing in natural skincare products right here in the city of Detroit.
Great. Yeah, Detroit is one of my favorite cities. So I told you before, next time I'm in the D, we definitely got to link up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. So, Tiffany, everybody has a different route to entrepreneurship. Tell me how you got started and what made you go into the line of business that you're currently in.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, mine has been an incredibly a wonderful journey, but it has definitely had peaks and hills along the way. And so it all started when my daughter, Taylor, she was born with eczema. And I never had any aspirations of starting a skincare line or a business or anything like that. I was simply a mom in search of natural remedies for my daughter's skin because I just did not want to use harsh steroids. I didn't want to use any chemicals. And I was worried about finding something that was actually gentle enough. And I couldn't find anything on the shelf. And so what I did was I literally got in my kitchen and I started mixing my own concoctions to treat her eczema. Wow. And the good news is they worked. And so I'm mixing these products and I started handing them out. You know how, the family members giving them to my girlfriends. Hey, happy Mother's Day. Hey, sis, happy birthday, just things like that. A gift, straight from the heart, handmade with love. And so, again, never dreamed of starting a business. And later I was working as an administrative law judge for the state of Michigan. And I suddenly, without notice, was laid off, given a pink slip. And so I literally went from presiding over unemployment cases to collecting an unemployment check. And I tell you, Jay, I lost everything. I lost everything. My home, my car, everything I had, material things just went down the drain. And so I suddenly found myself, like I said, in this position, like, okay, what am I going to do? Well, it just so happens at that time, my brother, he's the founder of Global Empowerment Ministries here in Detroit, and he definitely advocates and promotes business and entrepreneurship in the Black community for the purpose of bringing change so that we can create jobs, the whole nine. And he was on the radio that particular day, and he says, that invention that you've been sitting on, he said, that book that's inside of you, he said, those recipes that were given to you from your mom and your grandma and your auntie, he said, those concoctions you've been mixing in your kitchen, hello, he said, that's the business you're sitting on. He said, you are an entrepreneur. And he says, the world needs what you have. And I'll tell you, the bells and whistles went off at that time. And I'm like, you know what? He's talking to me. What am I waiting for? And more than that, what have I got to lose? Right. So I started an LLC right here in the state of Michigan. It's $50 in a one-page form. So I started an LLC. And I started working on packaging and labeling these concoctions that were collecting dust on the shelf at this point, because I'm not really doing it on the regular. And it just so happens he announced that same time, he said that Shark Tank was coming to Detroit and they're looking for entrepreneurs to come and pitch their products. Well, here I am again. What do I have to lose? So a whole group of us, we went and we pitched our products to Shark Tank down at Tech Town here in Detroit. And I was blessed to get a yes, from Shark Tank. So that was absolutely, totally exciting. I was so elated. And after that, he announced that Walmart has a program called Made in America, where they actually invite suppliers to travel to Bentonville, Arkansas, and you go and you pitch your product to them. And so once again, I thought, hey, this is an amazing opportunity. I don't know whether they'll like my product, but again, what have I got to lose? Why not go for it? And so my family and I traveled down to Bentonville, Arkansas, and I was able to meet with various buyers there and actually was able to get a deal with Walmart. And so since then, everything has just been going nowhere but up, and doors are opening, and it's just become this amazing, incredible journey.
That's an amazing story. One of the things I wanted to ask you, because it seems like if you're an entrepreneur with a physical product, getting into Walmart and big box stores, that's a dream come true. So I wanted to ask you, when you started working or when you went down to Arkansas to meet with Walmart, how was that process? Was it very stringent? Did you have to jump through a lot of hoops? And share with us how that process was.
So I've got to tell you, yes. Okay. The preparation was incredible. I went down there with the mindset, and you have to remember, I'm in there like I have nothing, I need a deal. Right. And I went into with the mindset that I am not leaving Bentonville, Arkansas without a deal. And so because of that, my preparation meant I said, I'm not going to give these buyers a reason to tell me no. And so by the time I traveled to Bentonville, Arkansas, I had lined up liability insurance. I had all of my certifications in order. I had my packaging, my GS1 barcodes, everything that they needed. I had samples of my product. I had these beautiful folders made together. Just everything was in place. So I could just sit down with the buyer and just say, boom, 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 boom. Any one of those things not being there could have stopped me from getting a yes from them ultimately. And so that preparation was amazing. And it was a lot of work, but I tell you what, it was so worth it just for the experience. And here's the flip side of that too. While it's funny, that's a great question that you asked, because I tell people that when we were in Bentonville and we got the deal, they told us now the real work begins. And I got to tell you, and so right, and that's exactly what I said. I was like, all this work, all these sleepless nights that I spent, trying to get here and putting things in place. And I said, you mean to tell me that now the real work begins? No, the real work began we trying to get here. Well, no. And now being on the other side of it, I can honestly tell you, I understand why they told us that, because it's not just, and so many people think, oh, it's so wonderful. That's a once in a lifetime opportunity to get on the shelf. But the real key is not getting on the shelf. The real key is staying on the shelf.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where the real challenge comes. But yeah, the preparation, it's a process. And I try to teach entrepreneurs now. I share the information, and I'm trying to help other businesses get into stores, big box retailers. So I am really trying to pour back into the community the information that I have, so that, to bless others and to help others along the way.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that. You know, you and I got to talk offline about my hot sauce. We already talked briefly. so, so
Hey, listen, there's a space for you that's waiting just for you with your name on it.
that's what I'm talking about. Uh, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to jump back a little bit. You had mentioned something that, and I appreciate it because you're transparent about losing your car, your house, you know, your job and all of that. What was that like in terms, take us into inside your head at that point in time, and what was it that kept you moving forward when you're dealing with such adversity?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, it had to be the total low point of my entire life. My background is in law, and I graduated from University of Michigan Law School. And so I'm sitting here, with this law degree and no job, and can't get a job. And it was even more so challenging because having worked as a judge, I could hardly even get interviews because everything I would interview for, they would say you're overqualified for it. So I would literally go to a job interview, and then when I would finish the interview, they would say, "Oh, thank you, Your Honor, for coming in." So needless to say, that's a no. That tells you right there, they don't see me as a colleague. They see me as, and they never thought I would stay. So it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. And I am a person of faith. And I'll tell you, it was my faith that sustained me during that time. Was it easy? Absolutely not. But it was my faith and taking acts of faith. I share the story candidly about walking through a Walmart store. Nobody knew how bad my situation was because we don't want your business out there like that. So no one knew how bad it was. But I can remember walking through the Walmart store with nothing but a bridge card in my wallet with very limited funds on there, and looking at my grocery cart trying to decide what do I need versus what do I want, and having to pull the things that I want out of that cart and focus on the things that I need, and walking over to the cosmetics aisle with an empty jar with my label on it, and moving things off the shelf and putting my product on the shelf, and pulling out my piece of a cell phone, and taking snapshots of my picture on those Walmart shelves with tears in my eyes, saying that this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'm going to get a breakthrough. This too shall pass. Brighter days have to come, just to see a light at the end of the tunnel. So like I said, absolutely devastating. And but for my faith, I don't know that I would even be here right now.
Understood.
I listened to God's ears because, like I said, no one knew. It was a silent struggle.
Right. And that's yeah, that's understood, because it is when you go through those periods of time. That's what I tell people. If you don't have faith in a higher power, I don't know how you do it, because it's
Yeah.
real,
Yeah. No,
real
you
tough.
can't. Yeah, you can't get
Um,
through it.
exactly. Tiff, I wanted to ask you, when you were playing around in the kitchen, right? Where did you start? I mean, you're trying to figure out this solve the problem for your daughter, but where did you start? Did you have any like old homemade remedies or something before?
Absolutely, I did. I
Okay.
tell people, back in the day, we didn't go and get all these prescriptions for things. I came up old school where, my mom thought castor oil and cod liver oil were cure-alls for everything. You know what I'm saying? So if you had a tummy ache or whatever's going on, you took a dose of castor oil, a dose of cod liver oil, and you were good to go. You know what I mean? I was that one where, we go to church and they would Vaseline you down on your knees and elbows. We didn't have organic this, vegan that. No, it was
Right.
old school remedies. And so because of coming up that way, I was one that always wanted to have fresh vegetables, fresh everything out of the garden. And I was always a believer that, we have everything we need in the earth for our bodies. And so because of that, that was what, rose up in me. And I thought, you know what, we're going to figure this thing out. You know what I mean? Using natural products, the things that, like I said, worked back in the day. So that's exactly, it came from a place of how I was raised, how I was brought up. You know what I mean? My mom, bless her heart, she grew up in the projects in Inkster. And so things were very, very tight. So, you start talking about the, peanut butter in the can and the cheese in the box, you know what I'm saying? So, we didn't have the luxuries of lavish cosmetics and things like that. You had to use what worked. I have people laughing. I'm like, didn't y'all remember when if you ran out of toothpaste, you went and got that Arm & Hammer baking soda and some peroxide before it was a brand name. Now it's on the shelf and it's considered all high-end luxury. No, that was old school. That's what you did when you ran out of toothpaste. You know what I'm saying? So, I
Yeah.
keep it real, but that's really how my product started. Honestly, it was just
Wow.
a function of what I grew up with and what worked for me, and my brother as a kid, what mom and grandma, and those around us, what we used.
Yeah, it's like it says in the Bible, there's nothing new under the sun, right?
Nothing
So
new.
it's just us being able to access or tap into that.
That's
And
right. That's right.
and so how long did it take you to come up with a formulation that actually worked for your daughter?
Now, that wasn't a very long process because there was an urgency. And
Okay.
so it wasn't like, oh, if I come up with something over the next 3 years, I'll be doing well. No, I needed to get in there and find something that worked like right then and there.
Okay.
Now, the other ones that I have 7 different varieties now as far as the body scrub. But in terms of the basic formulation, that didn't take long because it was like, you're going to work it out and you're going to stay here till you find something.
Right. Now that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in terms of financing your business, and I know you started out just, to solve a personal problem, but when people started asking you for the product and that light bulb went off and it's like, okay, this is something that can turn into something bigger. How did you finance your product to move it to the next stage?
And here's the nice thing. I go back to global empowerment. One of the great things about it is that we had, things in place before we traveled down there. So, there are factoring companies as well as purchase order financing companies. And that's what they're there for, to help you with the finances that you need to actually be able to fill those orders and get them on the store shelves. And basically what happens is that, the factoring companies, when you get your deal, they basically will make sure that you've got, the financing. And once Walmart pays you, then you go ahead and you pay them. At the purchase order financing company on the front end, when you get the purchase order, they're helping you get the money you need so that you can fill the purchase order. Additionally, I've been very thankful and I've been posting a lot. There's been a ton of grants that have been available as well, particularly they were out there anyway, but during COVID, there's been even more of them. And so I have applied for, every grant application that has come across my desk. I have applied for that as well, to get additional funding. So, yeah, so there's ways to do it. There's ways to do it.
So in terms of time frame from the time that you found the solution for your daughter and then being on the Walmart shelves, how long was that time span?
So there was a lapse from the time because when I mixed those products, she was a little toddler, very, very young. So she's older now. But again, it sat on the shelf. I wasn't really doing it as a business at all. So I actually started the business in 2015.
Okay.
That's when I got the LLC. And again, I wasn't really running full force with it. But in 2018, that's when I pitched it to Shark Tank as well as to Walmart.
Okay. Now, in terms of getting on to the shelves in Walmart, I had a product buddy of mine. We had our first quote unquote real business in the early 90s, and we were in big box stores and major chains. And you're definitely spot on when you say it's one thing to get in there, but you got to stay in there. You got to move that product. So when you got into Walmart, and I want you to kind of explain this for other entrepreneurs that are listening, what are some of the tips that you would have or that you would give that would help people not just get in the store, but to actually stay in stores? And what have you done to help solidify your place on the shelf there?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so one of the things that I would tell people is to make sure you have a team in place, even from the very beginning. And also that you want to have a budget for just for marketing or promotion, where you have funds that you're going to dedicate to marketing your product. My motto, and I tell this to everyone who wants to be on the shelf, I say, when it sits on the shelf, it does not sell itself. And that's my motto. I tell people all the time, listen, when it gets on the shelf, it does not sell itself. And so you need to be forward thinking in terms of what are the things you're going to do, what things you're going to put in place. I am part of an amazing organization, the WBENC, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And one of the other members there, I was at my wit's end. I literally, when I got into Walmart, I was literally jumping on planes, trains, and automobiles, traveling to the different places, driving a hoopty of a car as far as I could. And I was going into the stores to tell people about the brand, to do live demonstrations, all of that, to check, store levels, everything. And so one of the things I tell people too is to be ready to work. I think sometimes we think you get it on the shelf and then your work is done. No, you have to work it once it's on the shelf. And if you're not able to do it physically, you have to hire people that are going to go in and check and monitor your store, your levels, make sure that it's being marketed properly, make sure that people know that it's there. One of the social media campaigns that a fellow WeBank member came up with is called Help a Sister Out. And this year, because of COVID, I was drastically limited in terms of my ability to travel into the different stores to do demos. You can't touch people. You can't, put stuff in people. You can't do any of that. And so she helped me launch this program, Help a Sister Out, where I literally on social media reached out to people all over the country and asked them to please help a sister out. I've got a great opportunity at Walmart. Please go in and purchase the product and send me a picture, do a selfie with the product and post it for me. And, I will share that. And in exchange, I said, I will help you with your business and help you, give you, the tools that I know of anyway, that I can share with you to help you get your product on the shelf as well. But that was my ask. My ask was go in, please go find my product and support it. I gave the UPC codes. If people in particular cities, I gave them the address and said, hey, it's at 5555 Sam Houston Boulevard, Houston, Texas. Or, I need you to go to the one in San Antonio on Petranco Boulevard. So I knew, and that's the other thing, you've got to know what your locations are. Where is your product? And then once you know that, there should be a list, a product list. So no matter where anybody is in the country, you've got to be able to direct traffic to that particular store so that your product is available for purchase there.
Gotcha. Now that makes a lot of sense. Great tips and insight from somebody that's doing it and doing it big. When you got your rollout in Walmart, did they roll you out in specific areas, or was it a full-blown rollout?
Yeah, well, when they started, out of my 7, they selected one, and it was the buyer's decision. So the buyer ultimately picked one product, and he said, we're going to test it in a couple of hundred stores or so. I think it started off with maybe 100, and it maybe grew after that. But they basically dictated where it was, and it just so happens they tested it like all over Hawaii, Florida, Texas. It was, all over.
Right.
All over.
Okay.
And then what I did was I went and looked and saw, where are the largest concentration of stores? For example, Colorado, Texas, and Georgia were probably the states that had the most or the largest number of stores carrying it. So that's what I kind of honed in on. And I would literally jump on a plane at Frontier Airlines was having round trip tickets for like $40. So I would jump and go on Frontier Airlines and go and get a flight, travel up and down, I-20 or whatever their main highway is, and hit all the stores along the way, hit all the stores back up, jump back on the plane and come on back. So
that's no joke right there. That's no joke. Yeah, but you have to definitely support that. So you had talked earlier, Tiff, about building or having a team. So if you can explain this a little bit more in depth, are you talking about a team of merchandisers that would help go and sell the product? So what are the components, or who are the people that you would recommend having on your team?
Absolutely. Like you said, you want to, if possible, have, like I'm starting what are called glambassadors.
Okay.
So, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm working on building a team of glambassadors all over the country who will help me market and promote the product. And so, especially because of COVID, since I can't be there physically, these are people who maybe live in Dallas or who live in Houston or who live in, Virginia, wherever the product is, that have easy access and are shopping there anyway, that can stop in, see how the product is doing, and just be there to work. So absolutely, in terms of being in store. But then in addition to that, your team also, you need to have people that do the things that you can't do. One of the things my brother teaches is that when you're the business owner, you're supposed to be the visionary, and you really can't be the owner and be an employee as well. So you have to bring people on the team. So, for example, I am terrible with graphics. I mean, I couldn't do a flyer to save my life. So that's not my area. When you talk about, the whole social media piece and putting together flyers and things like that, graphics, videos, all the things that are necessary for a beauty brand, I don't do any of that. I can't. So you want to bring someone to the table, a videographer or a camera guy, a person who can take professional shots of your pictures and post things that look good, or who can take videotapes of you to make sure it's a quality that will draw buyers to your pages and make them want to do business with you. And you can, again, my position is that unless that's your background, don't try to do those things yourself, because you'll be overwhelmed, you'll be spinning your wheels, and you're going to waste a lot of time. The financial part of it, if you're not a CPA, then you need a tax person, a tax accountant, someone that can help you manage the financial end of it. Because again, if that's not your area and you're not trained to do it, you're going to mess up. And the last thing you want to do is get on Iris's bad side.
Right. I feel you on that.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do that. So that part, that's part of the team that you need to help with that. Even in terms of the manufacturing piece of it, if you're not, you're going to either use a contract manufacturer or you're going to hire people to help with your mass production and do things like that. Again, you wear enough hats as it is. And so the hats are the things that you can delegate. Right now, in terms of getting into stores, we have to use what's called a pitch deck, which is basically a PowerPoint presentation that tells everybody what they need to know about your product. I have an amazing person here in Detroit who handles all of that for me, and she's phenomenal. And what she does, and she can do in a day, it would take me a year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So know what you don't know, and then bring on people who can help you with that. Because these things are crucial and they're vital, and so you want to be able to do that. You want to be able to do it.
So, can you talk to us a little bit more about how are your Glambassadors going to be compensated, or is it all just to help you out? Because I want people to understand what it's going to actually take to get product to move off a shelf.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, I think it'll vary, because I'll tell you, when I did Help Us to Start campaign, there were people who were like, you know what, I want to be on the team because I want to learn from you. You know what I'm saying? They're like, I want to see the process. I want to understand the behind the scenes, the back end of what you do. So count me in, let me be part of the team, because I'm trying to get where you are. And so when you think about it, for free mentorship and free training, that's a pretty good trade-off. Other people want product. Listen, I will hook it up, but when I go in there and check your store levels, can you hook a sister up with a couple of jars of body scrub? You see what I mean? And so and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Others, it probably will be some form of payment compensation. They may say, well, you know what, maybe an hourly rate, or you give them gas money or what have you. So one thing I say, be flexible and be adaptable and work with people where they are, because at the end of the day, let them decide what's best and what's more meaningful to them, and then work it accordingly. And if there's something other you can do, hey, go for it. Go for it.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So you touched just briefly on manufacturing. So I know that obviously you're not sitting in the living room scooping and making product anymore, right? So
no, actually it depends on the order. It depends on the order. No, I still do. I work from home too. Absolutely do. Because the thing is that you're not going to get a contract manufacturer if you got I have the products on Walmart.com, for example. I do those orders personally, because those orders come in kind of sporadically, and it's not enough right now to warrant bringing in a contract manufacturer. And so I never want to discourage anybody from starting off in that kitchen, and you stand in that kitchen for as long as you have to. Most suppliers, they keep things in-house for as long as they possibly can. And so we have to be careful, because you bring on that type of help when you need it. You can't go to contract manufacturer, I need 20 jars. They're going to laugh you out of that building. You know what I'm saying? So so no, you until you get to that point. Oh, and trust me, I have called on friends and family member, and we've done assembly line right here. Okay. In fact, I posted a picture on social media of, my living room and the back of my trunk. Boxes everywhere. Okay. That's the grind. And so I'm never going to shame anybody. You sell out of your trunk for as long as you have to. And you mix in that kitchen for as long as you have to. You see what I'm saying? Until you get where you want to be. There's no shame in that at all. None.
Okay. So it's funny you mentioned that. So, with this hot sauce business, so I have a contract manufacturer. But I also said, you know what? Let me get my own filling machines. I bought a couple filling machines, couple labelers, bottle labelers. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to move as much as I can, or do as much as I can in-house. Like you said, because when I get the bigger orders, you gotta go outside for that.
Exactly.
But it's funny, my kids were laughing like, Dad, what's all of this machinery? I said, don't laugh, because you're going to be in the basement in a minute. with a net on your head.
That's right. You know, when you look at it, I don't know if you, but I've posted pictures and I remind myself of Amazon, you know, with the little handmade cardboard poster with
Exactly.
Amazon on it. You look
Yep.
at Bill Gates, you know, starting Microsoft, they all started that same way.
That's
And
right.
so, you know, one of the things I tell people, especially new business owners that are aspiring to work with big box retailers, I tell them all the time, I say, you know what? You know, we see them in their glory, but do you know their story?
Right.
And what it's so important to be able to do is to hit that rewind, brother. My brother talks about it all the time. Hit the rewind button. And when you hit that rewind button, you will see that so many people started off just like you're starting right now. Microsoft wasn't a multi-billion-dollar company, neither was Amazon when he started just selling books. You see what I'm saying? Selling used books. I
Yep.
tell people all the time about Evelyn Overton. Evelyn Overton was a housewife, a stay-at-home mom who found a recipe in the newspaper in a Sunday paper, decided to try this, not mama's, not grandmama's, not auntie's recipe, a newspaper recipe for cheesecake.
Wow.
And in her basement, in her little kitchen or whatever, that she cooked everything else when she started baking cheesecakes, sending her husband to work with these cheesecakes, saying, baby, take these to work and see if anybody's gonna buy them. Well, Miss Evelyn Overton is the founder from this kitchen in Detroit in the basement of the Cheesecake Factory.
Wow. Get out of here. Wow.
Don't tell me you can't work from your kitchen in your basement. You better go on Amazon and buy those filling machines. And get you ought to see my little manual label wizard that my mama ordered off of Amazon for me.
Right.
Hello?
I'm with you. I
Do
got
not despise small beginnings, okay? I always tell you,
yeah.
don't despise small beginnings, okay? Do
It's
not.
funny. I'm sitting in here. You can't see it, but right over to my right, I got my bottles, I got my caps, I got my labels, my machinery, and
Yes.
and what that does for me, it actually gives me flexibility. I want to show people something, right? So, for example, now this is a mini bottle, just a 1.7 ounce bottle. But
Yes.
because I didn't have to put the label on, right?
Right.
So I'm working right now with a couple of convenience stores, and I said, well, instead of putting the label on or having my co-packer do it, maybe the convenience stores might want to co-brand it, or maybe they want to do it under their own brand. So let me keep some flexibility and not have my, brand on it. And I can do it like this. Oh, you want to co-brand it? That's not a problem. Now I create the different label for them. So having some type of control in your manufacturing process, even how small it may be, can be beneficial to you. So I'm glad you brought
Exactly.
that up.
You know, and I highly recommend that. That's a very good point that you raised. And I would highly recommend that everyone have their own and have it on standby, because you never know. You never want to have your destiny in someone else's hands.
Yep.
And if something should happen, you have to be able to roll your sleeves up and get to work. And
Yeah.
so, and the equipment, like I said, on between Alibaba and Amazon, the same equipment that the contract manufacturers use, you can definitely purchase it yourself. And there's no shame in having the kids. Like I said, my son traveled to Bentonville. Both of my kids pitched a Shark Tank with me. I've had, like I said, pizza parties, family gatherings, the whole nine. I've called friends and family together to help me get orders out. I mean,
That's
there's
right.
no shame in that.
Yeah.
It's what you do. It's how you start. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
One of our first products, my old business partner and I had, our first kickoff was at the Jacob Javits Center at the Black Expo in New York City, early 90s. And we had all our family and friends over. We're packing up product and, packing the stuff in the trunk of the car.
Yes.
But
right.
yeah, we buy some beer and some pizzas. Hey, y'all come on over.
That's right.
We're gonna have
That's
a
right.
manufacturing party tonight.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I've
Yeah.
had lots of packing parties. And so that's how business starts. And
Yeah.
I just encourage people, read the stories. At Global Empowerment, we study millionaires and billionaires, but we look at where they started, like the Hendrik Meyer, Meyer is right here in Michigan. They were founded here. But you see how, they started with nothing and put their little pennies together and tried to get products, tried to open up grocery stores. You hear about how many times they what people would call failed. I don't call it failure. I just call it, like my brother says, no such thing as failure, just feedback.
That's
But
right.
you see how many times they had to try and fail, as people would say, before they finally came onto an idea that worked.
Right. Now that makes a lot of sense. And
Yes.
you hit the nail on the head, because everything is started with a concept, with an idea. So
Exactly.
I always use the example of DuPont, right? So DuPont started out by selling gunpowder to the French and Americans during the war. And that was hundreds of years ago. Now look what DuPont has grown into,
That's
you
right.
know, multinational company, all types of different industries. And it all came
Hmm.
from a concept. Some dude was
Absolutely.
like, you know what, we can make money selling gunpowder to both sides of this war. And it just it just went from
That's
there.
right. That's
So
right.
no idea is silly. You know,
That's
it's
right.
about the execution, and you have to let the market tell you. The market will tell you if it's a good product or if they want it or not. So you got to listen to the market. That feedback, not failure, like you said.
Exactly. That's
Like you said.
right. That's right. And I tell people too, even if you have something that is new and innovative, don't dismiss it, even if people say that'll never work, because, my brother talks about this too. Whoever thought bottled water, when we think about it, water is free. So
Yep.
can you imagine the people that first pitched bottled water and how they
Exactly.
were probably laughed and scorned at that? Are you crazy? Water is free. No one's ever going to pay. And now look at that being a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so I
Yep.
always encourage people, even if you have an idea that maybe before it's time, don't give up on it. I developed a coffee scrub long before anybody was talking about using
Wow.
coffee as a body scrub. And people laughed and scorned the whole nine. Coffee, nobody's going to put coffee on their skin. And I knew there was something too, because I would always say, listen, if people drink coffee to wake them up in
Right.
the morning, what's good for the inside is good for the outside. What works on the outside, it works on the inside. So why not coffee? Next thing I know, here comes everybody selling coffee scrubs.
Scrub. Yep.
So
Yep.
I always tell people, don't give up. My brother talks about back in the day when we were kids, and we
Mhm.
would pop popcorn. I would put seasoning salt and things like that on. He would get so mad at me because he hated it. And I would just season popcorn and do all that. And one day he was talking about, he said, yeah, my sister came up with that idea like when we were kids. And
Kids.
now
Yep.
you look at the companies who are selling the different popcorn seasonings and
Season.
that.
Yep.
It's like, whoa, I had that idea years ago. And
Go.
so I always tell people, when you're gifted with an idea, run with it, move forward with it, because what you don't want to do is be in a store 5, 10 years later and see your product on the shelf and be
Sitting
like,
right on there.
I thought of that a long time ago. But because you didn't do anything with it, someone else got your idea. God gave it to someone else and they made the $1 billion that you were supposed to make.
Mate. Yep. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because I have a seasoning line too to go along with my hot sauce. Right. Let me. Think I got one. I show you. I think I showed you before. But I got. So it's my Hell Yeah brand. I got my seasonings, my hot sauce.
Wow,
Yeah.
good.
So, but you're right. The popcorn season. There's a company out there. I think the main player, and there's only like real one big one, Colonel Seasons.
Right.
And but that's something we've been doing. We've been putting hot sauce on popcorn for years.
Hello.
Yeah. And so yeah, you're right. Move on those ideas, guys, because you never know what can be a winning idea.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you real quick about what makes you get up and do what you do every day? What's your motivation
You know what?
or
That is a
inspiration?
very, very good question. And I tell people honestly, it has to be about your why. When
Right.
we talk about business ownership and becoming entrepreneurs, our vision has to be bigger than ourselves. And if you don't
Definitely.
know, if you're not able to understand that it's not about you, I don't believe you can really attain the level of success that you may desire. And so, my why is what really, really keeps me going. I know that, the doors that have been opened for me, I know that God has opened those doors. And I realize that what comes with that, to whom much is given, much is required.
Right.
I have an obligation to hold that door open for as many other people as I can assist and help bring along with me. And so when I think of it that way, and when I think about right now, our vice president, I quote her all the time of how she said how her mother taught her, you know what, you may be the first, but just make sure you're not the last.
Right.
When I know that I may be the only Black woman that some people will see that has products on Walmart shelves, that tells me you have an obligation to let people see you, to tell your story, to do these type of programs, podcasts, interviews, and encourage and motivate and inspire others.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's the why, and that is what keeps me motivated to doing what I do. I am here in the city of Detroit, and one of the things that we talk about at Global Empowerment is how we lead the nation when it comes to poverty, unemployment, incarceration, and recidivism, and having the smallest number of entrepreneurs. And for me, my desire to change those stats, to change the narrative, that's what keeps me going. When I see people sleeping under the bridges, in cold weather, with army blankets, or when I see stories about the human trafficking in our city and girls having to sell themselves on the streets. That's your why. And so right now I'm looking to open up a manufacturing facility right in the city of Detroit where I can hire women who are returning citizens who maybe made mistakes earlier in life, who cannot get a job because once you have a criminal record, nobody's going to hire you. So I'm going to hire those women. Women who have been victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. I want to be able to give them jobs. Facilities, the places that we have here that shelter young girls, I go out and talk to those young girls about being an entrepreneur and starting a beauty line and doing skincare. And I take them products and let them sample it. And that's what it's all about. I mean, that's my why. If I can change their lives, if I can minister to them in some way, and if I can help not just fish, but teach these women how to fish, that's what makes it worthwhile. And that's what motivates you and keeps you going, because it can't be about you. And when you realize that there are people who are counting on you to grind every day, when you know that you're in a position to help so many others, and that if you don't do it, you don't know who will do it. When you say the change that is to be all begins with me, that's what's up. That's it right there.
Oh man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I tell people all the time, I think, a lot of times when we start businesses, the main, obviously the objective is to make money. And I think once you get to a certain point where, not that you're rich, but that, okay, things are going well, I'm comfortable, I'm still grinding. I think sometimes your mind shift changes a little bit about it's not as much self-preservation. It's about, okay, I'm okay right now. What can I do to help my fellow man? Because we're all here to serve in some form or fashion. So
Exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly.
I appreciate that, sharing that with the BEB family. Got a couple more questions. I know you got so many big meetings coming up. It's crazy, but a couple more questions for you, Tiff.
Sure.
Where do you see yourself in your business in 5 years?
In 5 years, this will be an international beauty brand that will be a household word, just like Microsoft computers are right now. And I envision having manufacturing facilities all over the entire country, particularly in underserved and underprivileged areas. So I'm looking at the Chicagos, the Detroit, the Clevelands. I want to have facilities there, and I want to be able to hire them, just like I'm trying to do in Detroit right now. My vision is to do that all over the country, and I'm believing that within the next 5 years, that is going to happen.
That's a blessing. All right, cool. In terms of an exit plan, do you have an exit strategy? Are
I
you
do
gonna
not.
cash out? No
No,
exit.
you know what? We talk about an exit strategy. That's one thing that I do not want to do, because, oftentimes, people think, well, if somebody offers you X amount of money, take the money and run. But what people don't think about is that when you do that, you are also losing control, and the people that you are called to help and the people that you called to reach, there's nothing in store for them. Because if I sell my company to ABC company, ABC company's coming with their own workers, and they may not care about the women who've been victims of human trafficking. They may not care about those who are living under the were living under the freeway bridges that now are feeding their family based upon the employment that I'm able to afford them. And so I don't have an exit strategy that way at all. If I have my druthers, my business will continue on indefinitely. My brother talks about, when we fill out our form for our business, do you want it to be perpetual? And we all check that box and we say perpetual. And to me, the mindset has to be, this is perpetual. And when I'm gone, I already told my kids, I'm saying, look, if you all sell my business, I'm gonna come back and haunt you. And listen, I'm like, and I don't have any grandbabies now, but I'm like, when they do, they're gonna learn how to be business owners and entrepreneurs, and I'm gonna be carting them around with me and teaching them how to run this business, because that's what I want to see happen. I don't ever want to have an exit strategy at all, not on my watch anyway.
So are your kids involved in the business right now?
They are. Like I said, my son, he traveled to Bentonville with me. In fact, we were the poster board for Walmart. They caught this shot of me that I didn't even know was out there till people at my church sent it to me. But he has traveled to Bentonville with me to travel to meet the buyers. And there have been times where I've had vending events that I've gone to where it has been terrible settings, no running water, no heat, no nothing, not a customer anywhere to be found. And when I get to that point where I'm ready to give up, and I call him whining about, he's like, Mom, trust the process, Mom. You got to trust the process. You know what I'm saying? So it has been amazing. And like I said, and my daughter, she was the reason why the product was started. So she's been like the brand, the reason why the product exists in the first place. And so they have been just amazingly supportive. They come to everything that I do. They're right there, right alongside with me. So yeah, they're definitely part of it.
Oh, that's good. Do you have any, I don't want you to give away any secrets now, but do you have any other products or anything else coming in the near future, or are you going to stick with what you have right now?
You know what? I'll tell. That's a very, very good question, because you know what I tell people. Oftentimes when we become entrepreneurs and we want to be all over the board,
Right.
and that's wonderful. But I say you have to consider the timing. And so I tell people, like, people told me, they're like, "Oh, you should do hair products. Oh man, you should do this. You should do that.
Right.
You should do this. You should." I say, "Look, look, look, look. I do body scrubs."
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Right.
I want, because here's the thing about it. To me, it's better that you take that one line of products and do that well,
Right.
build your brand, build the integrity of your brand, build credibility with your customers. And when you do that and you lay that foundation, once your name is out there and you have that reputation, then it's easy for you to come on and say, well, if you all love my body scrubs, you're going to really love my body butters. Now, I've got body butters, I've got body washes, I do handmade soaps. I make the most amazing plantain black soap you've ever seen in your life. So all those things are in the pipeline, they are, but I'm not trying to move forward with all of them at one time. Right now, I'm doing one thing. I was talking with my Walmart buyer and I told her, I said, listen, I'm just going to tell you, I said, right now, I'm not concerned about quantity, I'm concerned about quality. So I don't want to launch X, Y, and Z right now. Right now, I want to do these body scrubs and do them well.
Gotcha.
And build a brand and have the world's best body scrub. And then you grow from there. Because if you're in a lot of different product categories and you're scattered like that, I think that buyers will tend to kind of move away from that, because they've been in the business long enough to know that if you call yourself being a jack of all trades, you're going to be a master of none.
Right.
Now,
that makes
again,
sense.
and I need to put my disclaimer out here, Jay, to let people know, listen, I am not a spokesperson for any big box retailers. I am not a paid, agent for anybody. I don't even hold myself out to be an expert in any of this. All I'm a sister with a business trying to help other people and share my information and my experience for the purpose of blessing others. So that's my recommendation based upon my experience. But for people who want to take another route, hey, I'm all there for it. You know what? Go for it. But
Right.
that's just been my experience, is that you want to do one thing, do it well, keep those other ones. I'm not saying abandon anything, but a lot of entrepreneurs who are successful now, they didn't launch everything at one time. They had a lane, they worked that lane, and then they expanded and they grew.
Gotcha. I got two quick ones for you. Then I'm going to let you give your social media info and where people can buy all your products.
Sure.
First quick question is, number one, is there anything that you wanted to say to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family that didn't come out in the interview? Sometimes I just want to make sure, it could be words of advice, it could be anything.
You know what? One of the things that I want to do for your audience is just make sure that they know that in me, that, I am here to support, to help, to mentor in any way that I can. My brother has mentored thousands, and as he's poured into my life, I want to pour into the lives of others. You and I, we've talked about that. You have given me amazing resources, Jay, and I am eternally grateful, and that's what it's all about. So the one thing I always want to leave the people who are watching or listening with is that I am here. I'm here for it, and I want to support as many others as I can. And I know that the experience I've had, it's only been for the purpose of blessing others. So I say that with all sincerity.
Thank you. Yeah, because like I said, we talk behind the scenes, and you've been putting me down the game for a minute here, so I appreciate that. Last quick question: if you had the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That's a very, very, very good question. You know what? And I'll tell you, as it relates to business and what I'm doing right now, one of the people I would love to have a conversation with will be Mary Kay Ash.
Oh, wow.
And the reason being is that the business model that she put in place so many years ago is just amazing to me. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, you know what? I don't sell Mary Kay. I'm trying to be Mary Kay.
That's right. That's right.
And so I would love to just pick her brain and just learn everything I could, because I'm serious. I'm trying to be the Black Mary Kay for real.
That's what's up. Well, hey, Tiff, before we roll, tell people how they can support you and where they can buy your products and the name of your products again.
Absolutely. So it's Glam Body Scrubs. I have a jar right here.
All
It's
right.
called Glam. These are wonderful, awesome body scrubs. They are now available. All 7 of them are on Walmart.com. So if you go to Walmart.com, you put in Glam Body Scrubs, they're going to all come up and you'll see the different varieties. Also, I'm online, Tiffany Nicole Cartwright, and I'm on Instagram, Glam Body Scrubs. I'm on Facebook, Glam Body Scrubs. So any of those ways,
Cool.
reach out and look for them. We'll be launching in all of the Walmart stores later on this year. But in the meantime, everything has already been launched on Walmart.com as well.
Cool. I appreciate it. Tiff, once again, thank you so much for sharing with the BEB family. Amazing information as always. And we're going to be in touch anyway. So
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I tell you, I'm just so thankful that our paths crossed, and anything I can do to be of service, hey, don't hesitate to call.
I won't. That was an amazing interview with Miss Tiffany Cartwright, the founder of Amara Products and Glam Body Scrubs. This is what I call a major comeback story, rising from the ashes like the phoenix. And I'm going to give you some takeaways. But first, let me share all my social media contact information and my resource links. And then I'm going to give you my takeaways on today's episode. So at the top of the show, I mentioned my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. Now, if you need additional assistance building your successful, sustainable e-commerce business, my new pound for pound flagship course is out, Brand Builder Academy Elite. You can go to bbaelite.com. This is a 14-week immersive program that takes you from point A to point Z in learning and teaching you how to build a brand and sell online, be it a physical products brand or a digital products brand. Go to bbaelite.com, use the coupon code BBAELITE100 and save $100 off the program. Now, I also mentioned at the top of the show, the new rebranded, rebooted Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy is open. So you can go to bebacademy.com, bebacademy.com, and enroll in the academy, and you get 5 days free access, and you have access to everything in the academy, all the trainings, all the programs, and all the courses. So go to bebacademy.com. You have nothing to lose, 5-day free access. Also, don't forget 2 platforms I talked about also at the top of the show to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black economy. BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. If you are a black product producer and you want to sell your products to black consumers, upload your product information to BeSmartByBlack.com. It is free. And you can connect with black product consumers that want to buy your product all over the world. Now, I didn't forget about you freelancers. So if you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, upload your information to HireBlackFreelancers.com. Once again, it is free. HIRE, BlackFreelancers.com. Connect with black consumers and black businesses that want to hire a black freelancer. So I want to make sure that you guys check out all the resources. Now, that's a mouthful, but you can go to bebconnect.com. That has all of the resource links I just talked about, and it's also going to have all my social media links, which I'm about to give you now. So if you want to reach out to me anything long, hit me on email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES @blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, Facebook Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Twitter JJones001, Instagram JJones for real. That's JAYJONES, the number 4 REAL. Also, I have another Instagram, which is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. I use the personal one mostly, but you can also go to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint on Instagram. YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm actually having a new series that's going to come out on YouTube within the next month or so. So the show does come out on YouTube, but I have additional content on YouTube that is not on the show. So go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and hit that subscribe button. Also, Clubhouse. If you're on Clubhouse, follow me at I am J Jones at I am J Jones on Clubhouse, LinkedIn. Connect with me there, J Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And if you want to be included in the BEB text line for notifications and reminders of special events, text BEB to 555-888. That's BEB to 555-888. Now let's get back to the rest of the show, and I'm going to give you some takeaways from this amazing interview with Miss Tiffany Cartwright. Man, I have tons of takeaways, but I'm going to keep it to about 2 or 3. So the first thing that I want everybody to take note of, when Tiff had the issue about losing everything, her job, her car, and her home, that's a bad place for anybody to be in. It's a bad position. But one of the things is that my dad used to always say to me, it was real simple, but it made a lot of sense. He said, son, winners win. Winners win. That's what they do. It doesn't matter the situation, what the circumstances are. They're going to find a way to win. They're going to find a way to go over, under, around, through, or whatever. But son, winners win. And that's exactly what Tiffany is. She is a winner. With everything taken away from her, losing it all, she was able to rebound and build a multi-million-dollar business. And that takes a whole lot of gumption, and it takes courage to do that. And so also you have to factor in, people talking about you. Man, what happened to you? But you can't focus on that. And that's exactly what Tiffany did. She focused on making the situation better. Another thing we discussed that I want to point out was sometimes we overlook opportunities that are right in our face. And so Tiffany had created the product for her daughter to help her daughter's eczema and never really thought about building a business around it. But a lot of times your product or your service is right in front of your face and you just don't realize it because you're not really thinking about it as a product or a service that you can monetize. So don't sleep on the things that you're good at and things that you can do and things that you create to solve your own personal problems, because other people may have those problems too. Another thing that I really liked about Tiff was, number one, it's not just about making money. It's about service. And Tiffany and I have talked since we've done this interview. We've talked on numerous occasions. And she's reached out to me, helped me with certain things. I'm trying to connect her with other people, and it's really about service. So when you talk about doing business with a Black-owned business, it's not just about because we are Black. Yes, we're going to do business, but you got to look a little deeper. What is the owner? What is the person about? And once again, every time I've reached out to Tiff, she's always been there and to help guide me. You guys know that I got a new hot sauce product out, and I'm trying to eventually get that into retail after I build it up online first. But that's my go-to right there. So she knows I'm going to be calling her to help walk me through these steps, because I haven't had a product in a major chain in probably 20 years since one of my first products that I started. Everything I do pretty much is retail, but on this type of product, I think I want to go everything I do is usually online, but I want to go retail this time in addition to online. But I just want you guys to understand what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. And the only way that you truly fail, guys, is if you quit. It's if you quit. So if Tiffany quit after all of her setbacks, she wouldn't be where she is today. But that's the only true time, guys, that you fail, is when you quit, when you stop moving forward, when you stop trying to do something positive. That's when you fail. These setbacks, all that is a learning process. It's part of the process to becoming a successful entrepreneur. So when you have problems with your new business, you don't have enough money to get it started, you're in a crunch right now, nobody's buying your product or service, you got to figure a way out. You got to figure a way out to make it work. And the only way you're going to do that is to keep pushing forward and not quit. Now, once again, guys, don't sleep on it. Winners win. One of the best pieces of advice my dad ever gave me: winners win. The question is, are you a winner? Do you have what it takes to be a winner like Tiffany and fight through these different obstacles? I love this story because it's a story of somebody, like I said earlier, rising from the ashes like the phoenix, making that amazing comeback. And we always like to root for the underdog. So make sure you guys support Glam Body Scrubs. You know how we do it here. Everybody that we bring on the platform, they're vetted, and we want you to definitely support them. Tiff is doing great things in the community in addition to building a great business. So please support Tiffany and Glam Body Scrubs. Now, before we close on out, family, I say this each and every week, but it's the truth. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. We couldn't do this without you, because you guys are the engine that drives the BEB family. And, we've been rocking 6.5 years, 350 episodes, which is still mind boggling. It's crazy to me. Never would have thought this thing would have turned into what it is. And, we're continuing to evolve and change. We have an amazing new website that's coming out within the next month or two. We're working on the back end with it right now. So all of the resources and everything I talk about, at the beginning and the end of the show, all you're going to have to do is go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, and everything that I talked about is going to be there, and it's going to be positioned or situated in a way that you're going to have a personal tour. So whatever you're interested in, you answer a quick little question, it'll take you to those resources. And so I'm really excited and looking forward to the new website. And once again, we're evolving just like anything, any other business. And we're going to have a whole lot more resources, a lot of free resources for you guys to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. I say this also each and every week, but please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, and also the movement, because that's really what it is. It's about building an economic power base in the Black community. It's about us. It's about us working together, sharing together, building Black-owned businesses and supporting Black-owned businesses, and not just building and supporting Black-owned businesses, but supporting each other. Business is one thing, but what are you doing with the resources that you're generating from your business? Are you working? Are you helping the community? Are you helping somebody else? Are you being a mentor to somebody that's coming behind you? So all of this is paramount, family, in us building an economic power base in our community. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.